Since we're now at the end of the health awareness training, I'm supposed to do the wrap-up. Oh, you people are moving your health awareness training hats. God, I just found out the difference between the boys and the girls tonight. The girls have tassels on the top and the boys don't. Is that right? I think some of them may have made some mistakes out there. I have some, these might be called revolutionary ideas to share with you. Revolutionary ideas don't mean get your guns and shoot, especially at me. Well, nobody else as far as that goes. Maybe these are radical ideas. Yeah, these are radical. Come to think about it, these are very old radical ideas. And I'm quite sure most of you already know this, so maybe I'll just stop. What I did is I, as usual, wrote some stuff down because I can't spell all the words. And they have an easel here, which means I'm not going to write that much. Not even one word will I write on page will I write that much. What I did do is I researched the cosmic and found a book. Would you think I was going to read out the cosmic? You wouldn't understand it. I mean, the language is totally different. It goes na na nu nu. But I came up with 2 laws dealing with health. And to make it really impactful, I called the first one the first great law, and I call the second one the second great law, which is similar to the first, but different. Here's the first great law. Now you're going to have to listen because these are really tricky. The living body must function always in the direction of health, and sickness is the effect of obstructing natural function. I'm going to do that again because I know it went. The living body must function always in the direction of health, and sickness is the effect of obstructing that natural function. The second great law. Sickness is the result of the body's struggle to eliminate internal poisons resulting from bad environment and bad habits. Now, this is interesting because my secretary typed this for me, and I can't see it without my glasses. But she had it up here in case I forgot it. But what she typed was something very interesting because she wrote a word wrong. And I want to read it to you because it's amazing. There are really no great mistakes in life. Sickness is the result of the body's struggle to eliminate internal positions resulting from bad environment and bad health. And of course, mine was internal poisons. But I'm not too sure that internal positions isn't more correct. Now, it makes me think maybe I did write positions because how would she dare make a mistake like that? Of course, it wasn't her. The typewriters don't know how to spell unless you have a word processor with the vocabulary, something dictionary in it. So I want to share a few things with you, and I may get to this board here describing my Picasso effects. When I get through that, everybody goes, that's got to be Picasso. Anybody else can draw better than that. I'll have you know, when Picasso wanted a little change, he just sat down and doodled off something for 5 minutes and made $30,000, $40,000. When I want a little change, I have to beg for it. There is a difference in the process. The pictures look the same. I don't understand that. A couple ideas I'm just going to sort of throw out as disembodied and disincarnate statements. First of all, I'd like you to remember that creation was not made with secondhand material. God used the best. Now we look around this room. And we don't have to look too far to find out that secondhand rose has been around, because some of you are not treating the material you got as primary material. You know, which reminds me, the other day I was walking up in my orchard, and I was looking at the trees that are growing, and the thought came to my mind, I wonder if they're fertilizing these trees, and if they're putting the nutrients in the ground that's necessary for these trees to grow. Because how many of you understand that trees get their nutrients from the ground? If you understand that, just raise your hand. Okay, we're going to have a lot of fun here. Let's see, my orchard's been in now maybe 5 years. Who's my orchard people? What's that? Seven? About five to 7 years, depending on whether you count the fire or not. But it seems to me that if my trees are getting their nutrients from the ground, there should be great big holes there that my trees are sitting in, because they're eating up the ground. Now, what I'd like to know is, has somebody been putting soil in there in the middle of the night so that the ground looks level? No? No. I don't think that my trees are getting their nutrients from the ground. I got highly suspicious when I looked at that. So I decided to do some research. And I went back to an old, ancient book about a man who decided that he would take, I think he's a Frenchman too, which might explain this. He took a tree and put it in his tub. So he wanted to have water, and he wasn't going to work hard. And he had a very nutritionally packed, means fertilized. And he weighed it, though, before he did that, which I thought was real smart, because he was going to check. And after a few years, the tree had grown twice the size, almost 3 times the size, and he was having ceiling problems. I think probably because of that, he decided to cut his experiment short. So, no, there's no need to hiss me unless you get it. First thing, you know. If it went around, that went around you twice, and then you caught it, and then you hiss based upon the pitch you're in. He took the tree out and weighed the tree, and the tree weighed a lot more than it did in the beginning. A lot more. Then he took the dirt and weighed it, and the dirt weighed the same. Now, I thought maybe his scale was off. I was going to say another word, but they'd edit this tape, and so I decided I'd save the edit. I was just going to say terrible, but I didn't know the French word. So then I decided that if that man had already done the experiment, all I had to do was profit from it. So I did. I immediately went into deep samadhi. That means asleep. And decided I would sleep the answer into existence. Somebody said it sounded like I was sawing logs, and I said, trees. Trees. It was busy. And I decided that if you take a tree and you take the fruit off that tree and you analyze all the constituents in that fruit, there's no way that all those things that are in that fruit are in the ground. Where is that fruit getting all of its nutrition? Because it isn't eating the dirt. It is drinking the water. So then I thought, it's getting it from the water. So then I read a book that had analyzed the water and found out there's no way that you could put the water together and get a fruit out of it. Any kind at all, as a matter of fact. All you do is get wet hands or something like that, chapped. I tried it in my bathroom. I put a lot of water in the sink, and I said, okay, peaches. And I thought maybe I should go for something like avocados, and this time, though, I had some avocado soap, and I thought that would help, so I put a little bit in my hand, and I rubbed it, and I says, okay, and I had, you know, it's kind of frothy in there, and I said, okay, avocados, avocados. And I smelled avocados. I tasted it, but ooh, it tastes like soap. So I did get to manage to create soapy avocados, smell, with a lot of water. That made me think again. Maybe it's in the fertilizer. Because after all, fertilizer is just processed hay and oats and alfalfa. Certainly refined and certainly been transmuted to an original state. When I grew up, my mama called it caca. Later on, I saw an advertisement. It was called Purple Plush by Bandini. And I thought, well, maybe that's how it's getting, is it out of the purple? So that was my first hint. So I thought, I know where it's getting it out of the sun. Out of the sun. Of course. It's got to get it out of the sun. Then why do they plant it in the ground? Tough questions, right? Well, it's obvious. It has to have roots in the ground in order to hold the tree up straight. That's the truth. There's no other reason. Well, okay, there is one more reason. How else is it going to get water out of the ground if it doesn't have a root system? Well, I answered that. Through the leaves. So I thought, the root system's got to be more than to hold the tree in the ground upright, because you can get sticks and put on both sides of the tree and hold it up, because I've done that before. And it'll make the tree grow straight. Not strong, straight. If it gets bigger, you have to put bigger stakes in it and things like that. Time will fly if you leave it alone. I can see it okay. The clock tipped over, and they're going, oh, watch out, he won't know the time. Who needs to know the time? I'm having fun. Besides, I brought my watch. It says, you're almost finished. It's not one of these talking ones. I can't read it. So I sit and looked at that whole idea, and I thought, this has just got to be the most simple-minded thing that can possibly happen. And I figured I would be the one to solve it then, because I come off with simple-minded stuff rather regularly. You people who've been around here more than a year or two know that. That's why you're here. You like to feel superior. You am not going to feel superior tonight. I'm prepared. I got this thing wired. I got my literature's right here in front of me. So I looked at this whole idea of the tree. I'm not through with the tree. No, I thought, aha, the tree of life. There it is. Then I thought, but there are bushes that berries grow on, and they have a different thing. Now I had a real dilemma. Bushes and berries and trees. Then I decided, how about vegetables in the gardens? Because I know that you can plant a little seed of corn in the ground and put water in it, and that thing will grow. And then you get this big ear of corn, then you eat it, and then you have to go floss your teeth because it gets stuff between your teeth. And I realized there's all a plot from these flossers and dentists that's why corn is around. Except the corn I use. Mine is entertainment value. Not much, but a little. You ever think this will get on television? So I decided that what I would do is I would go to I was going to say the fairy kingdom, but that may have implications. So So I went to the Davic kingdom, which has a little more implication to it, which is the fairy kingdom in another language. That's the ones who take care of nature and trees and grass and the soapy avocado smell. And I said, what is it that is going on here? And I waited for an answer. And I waited for an answer. So I figured, well, since they're not going to talk, I'll just get the answer myself. And then I'd present it to them, and if it was wrong, they'd say so, and if it wasn't, they'd tell me. So far, they haven't said anything, so I think I've got the answer. Well, haven't you said that to God or to the traveler? If I'm not supposed to do this, let me know, and you don't hear anything, so you think, well, it's okay, and you go and do it. Huh? Well, look, if it's fair for you to do that, why isn't it fair for me to do that? I think that tree paid attention. It's just not telling me yet. Let's go see how I come out, and if I get through and you hear the aspens quake, you'll know that I made it. Well, if you grew up in the Rocky Mountains, you'd know a quake and aspen if you saw it. They go like this. Anyway, it looks like that. Well, I won't go to the paper yet. I almost had a beautiful vision, but I'll wait, because if it's a good one, it should reproduce itself. Oh, I better write this down, because I want to talk about that, but I want to finish up with these trees, because it's... If that tree's not getting it out of the seed because they've analyzed the seeds and found out there's no apple or anything in the seed or turnip, the stuff isn't there to make it happen, and if it's not in the water and it's not in the bandini, and you can grow it in shade, and some of them really prosper real well because they don't like sunlight and they grow anywhere, then it's got to be something else. Now, if it's something else, that something else has got to be really important. And I know the answer. Now I'm going to talk to you about cells. If you can't take a joke. Well, okay, you talked me into it. This will be, you people over there, you'll have to watch it on the monitors, and I don't go real fast. I go real slow, but sometimes I go real fast. This will be called ground level. All right, okay, here's the tree. This will go up for donations later. Here's the root system. As above, so below as above. Great metaphysical mystery solved. Then I thought, up here is the air. Down here, you with me? You wonder what I'm going to put down here, right? Down here is the dirt. Dummies, everybody knows that. Years ago, we used to go fishing. And to go fishing, we'd use worms. And to get worms, you either had to go dig them up out of the dirt by the irrigation canals, because the worms sort of like it wet, mucky, slimy. Worms. I don't know who did that, but I wish you hadn't have. I was okay. So we dig the worms out, and then you take them and put them on your hook. You didn't want to hear about sticking the worms. Anyway, with these little suckers that just get really squiggly as you try to stick them, it's like anything. Nobody wants to get stuck. Worms smart. Not very bright, but smart. Who lives in a mucky thing by a canal? Well, fish like them. That's the only We're through with worms. But when they told me, well, we're not quite through, but we're getting there. My father told me, he said, son, it's your day to get the worms. I was a junior in high school. I had just passed chemistry. I knew a little bit about mixing compounds and everything. So what I did is I went out and watered the lawn real well that night. The next morning I went out and put a pole in the ground, went over to the car, put on the battery, started up the car, vroom, 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 and up come those worms. Da-da-dee-da-da. And I was grabbing to them with a can. I thought, geez, that's amazing. That does work. Something goes through the ground, and I thought it was the water. Now, it may be, but I know that sometimes if you put water and you put some other stuff in it and you put electricity through it, it goes better if there's a solution in the water. Is that right? So I said, there's got to be something going on here more than dirt and water. Now, folks, this is when it gets real serious. I found out that the reason these have big, broad leaves is because the sun over here has got to shine down on them. When it shines down on them, it says, hello there. You don't hear that because it doesn't speak in English. It speaks in sun language. If the leaf doesn't pay attention, it gets burnt. It's very simple. It sends a message down here. Down below it says, sun's up. It's going to be a hot day. Bring some water up. So these little elves from the David kingdom bring these little water buckets up here. And they stand and they sprinkle the leaf until the sun goes down. But that doesn't explain to you how that gets fruit. But at least now you know all about irrigation and water and stuff like that. Some of these agronomists are going, that's the most simple-minded approach, but there it is. And I can go past my PhD now. So it happens that with the water and with the sun, mark it in case you forget, with the air, with the dirt, water. When I was little, my mother used to say, I want a dinka wawa. Can you imagine a grown person saying that? Well, I just did, so you don't have to imagine it. I'm doing scientific stuff here. You don't have to worry. I'm going to lead you in and out of it. Some people are changing channels, but they'll be back. Then I said, what are the basic elements that everything is made out of? And the word came to me, electromagnetic, biochemical, physical, caca. So I immediately decided it was electromagnetic with a little dirt in it. Then all of a sudden it hit me, like a cosmic beam. That's what this was here. These were cosmic beams. C-B. These cosmic beams were just shining down their light into the ground and into the tree. And in that cosmic beam exists all things in existence on all levels in its essence state. And I go, wow, I've been talking about this for 23 years. And I never knew the reason. I just knew it was. I just knew it. You know, like I look at my clock and it says the time, and I just know that unless somebody's changed the hands. Hey, I can read the numbers tonight. I had to get me a new watch because I had a watch that had digital numbers on there, and I had to hold my arm out a long ways in order to see the numbers. When I got out far enough to see it, it was too far away to make out what it was. So they got me a watch that's got hands on it so I can see which way the hands are, because I grew up with it. Hands on the clock. You know, I'll have you know that a lot of youngsters, you tell them, do it clockwise, and they don't know what you're talking about because all they've seen are digits. That's what they got there. Sun comes down, hits the dirt, essence goes clear through, and it just used all of this as a conductor with the nutrients and the minerals and the fertilizer in the ground, makes an electrical conductor like a battery, the positive and the negative, and that produces this particular frequency around the tree, and lo and behold, we get bananas. Well, they were sick because they didn't get watered soon enough, but they're still bananas. Now, the interesting thing is, that is quite so. There's no way that you can plant a banana tree next to a pear tree, next to an avocado tree, and have them all produce lemons. They produce according to the vibration and the magnetic field that is inherent within them. And they must produce their own in their own image. But they can't produce it based upon only the seed. They have to have the life-giving force, and that life-giving force pulls the essence out that is necessary for it, and in that we get our nutrition. You got this about the trees? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to cells now. But I don't want to forget about the trees, so I'm just going to put them right here. That's just in case you people can't read, that's a symbol. You all know that. It's a bramble bush in case you get caught. You didn't know this other stuff before. How many knew this stuff before tonight? Raise your hands. That's what I thought. Now we'll talk about cells. They're across the hall when you leave here, over there. This tape is going to be very expensive. I have new self-esteem and health awareness financially. God, look at that. Would you believe that, red dots? Huh, my God. Boy, that stuff really, that caca really goes through the paper. Let me tell you. That's right where it was. Well, somebody told me a little bit of that goes a long ways, so I'll... Cells do not die. What? They do too die? My mother's dead. But your mama died, not the cells. Don't you give me that stuff. Cells die. Do you know what that is? It's two corpuscles making love in vain. You're not supposed to be impressed. This stuff is stupid. If I keep you distracted long enough, you're going to get it. That's it. That's the only thing this is all about. How many of you had a teacher in school that sit and lecture to you like this, and you looked at him, and your mind was 20 miles away? The bell rang, you go, oh, my God, and you get up and walk out? How many? Come on. I'm keeping you here. Somebody wrote a dirty picture over here. Wait till I get to that. I just want to be sure to turn the page when I get to that one there. I'm going to turn it slowly. Well, you all thought I was going to turn it fast so you couldn't see it. I wouldn't do that to you. No. Cells have, this isn't really what a cell looks like, but for sake of this example, it is. They have a north pole. They have a south pole. I don't know. Things are backwards in the spirit world, or they're backwards here. They, Carroll, C-A-R-E-L, who's the guy, the man, the unknown? Alex Carroll. That'll stand for his name, Carroll. C-A-R-E. Wrote a book called Man the Unknown, and on page 28, he said, hey, you know, I can read the writing in this. That's amazing. I brought the wrong book. All right, well, I don't know the page number, but in his book, he said, by way of a demonstration, that cells can live forever, because he took a lot of cells and he put them in a glass and he put liquid around them, and those cells lived and lived and lived and lived and lived until they ran out of liquid. Then they died, meaning they went below the vibration level of health awareness the way we know it. They put more liquid back on them, and they came back alive again. The only thing that it didn't say in there is what the liquid was. I suspect it was alcohol. Because I know that preserves a lot of things. As the cell is moving through the bloodstream, this is like 67 trillion on a good day. On a bad day, about 67 trillion. They don't care whether you have good days or not. They just keep right on moving along. These areas here get corroded like spark plugs. And when they get corroded, they stop receiving the electrical magnetic charge that is carried through the blood and the nutrients in the blood. Do you know that you can't feed cells? Because if you did, it would all look like a steak, or an antelope, or an orange. They say you are what you eat. Absolutely nonsense. You are what you are. What you eat might make you sick, and you might not like it. Might not like it. As a matter of fact, the cells get their same energy from the same place that the tree gets it. The sun, the essence of the air around us. If the air has life around us, and we can learn to utilize that rather efficiently, we can increase the ability of the blood to wash the cells and remove the corrosion off these ends here, the north-south polarity pole, and that cell will keep regenerating itself because it's a spiritual form. It's a spiritual form. It's a divine form, and we call it cells scientifically. It hasn't said that's okay or that's not okay. We've gone along that that's good enough definition because somebody said so. If the blood becomes polluted through nutrients, through minerals, through primarily acid, not LSD, just any kind of form that makes acid in the body, it'll gather around these areas here, corrode them, and the body starts to deteriorate and degenerate. As it starts to do that, you experience what you call dis-ease or disease. And as you start to experience that, you're going into termination. but the cells are not going to go. Now, what's interesting, people that are dead and buried, you look inside of them and you find organs there. They dig them up and they say, there's the remnant of an organ. You say, well, is it as big as it was when it was alive? No. Well, what's left? Well, what's left is that was manifested as the organ, and the cells themselves are still alive and they're gone. They are the essence of life that vibrates through us. If you get this real clear, you'll find out you'll be breathing more, deeper, using your lung space. You'll be very careful about polluting your bloodstream through poisons, through eating foods that are over-acidic and, well, over-alkaline the other way. You'll start reaching for balance and harmony in your life. And we do know that thought can alter structure and form in the body. So we do know that negative thinking can poison this system very fast. We know that emotional disturbance, you keep emotionally flooding your body with the hormones of disagreement, will make the body toxic. The bloodstream is either the cesspool or the life giver. If it's a cesspool, you're dying in your own garbage. If it's the life giver, you're living in your own awareness. Out of the blood kind of rings a little bit of some biblical statements, doesn't it? They seem to know that there was life in the blood. These cells float around the blood. What happens, and how do you feed these? What happens? Here comes along the nutrients called, let's just call them food. And that could be almost anything. As they come to you on the blood, they stimulate this area here, and the cell vibrates to the new stimulation. As it vibrates, it becomes healthy. As it becomes healthy and vibrates, it draws upon attraction of new vibration, new health, and the cell will divide itself and make another one, and divide itself and make another one, and divide itself and make another one. That's about 400,000 right there when they get through. They're fast. So all you're doing is stimulating this cell into movement. What does that say all of a sudden about exercise? Exercise brings more oxygen, air into the lungs. The blood gets cleaned up by the air in the lungs. The blood moves through the body, start cleaning out the sludge that's in the blood system. As it starts to clean it out, it's got to have a place called where do you get rid of it? Now, this is the most important thing. You can go 40 days without eating. You go 40 days without eliminating, you dead. It's not what you eat that's killing you, it's what you're not getting rid of that's killing you. Anybody who has studied the elimination system of the body will tell you that one of the most effective elimination systems is exhalation. You can go a long time without urinating, you can go a long time without defecating, but see how long you go without exhaling. Prime source of energy, the breath. Prime source of energy. Dendrites. Right through here is a substance called acetylcholine. Right, folks? We've got all these doctors in here. Watch it, GI. They're coming thundering at you. This is a love acid. When you toxify the system, you make the system toxic, the blood gets toxic, the cells stop vibrating. As the cells stop vibrating, they affect the nerve responses. The nerve responses stop vibrating, which tells this acetylcholine, come on, get present. And these can't jump across. The nerves can't jump across. What happens, they back up here into a reverberating circuit, and they keep backing up till they get enough energy, and then they jump across. Go take some acid, LSD, knocks the hell out of these, connects them together. And from then on, you're on a trip for the rest of your life. But the body will adapt. A law of the body is vital adaptation. It will adapt. That's the bad news. It's also some pretty good news, or you all would be dead. Let's look at what I mean by this. They took an experiment and they put a a bird under a glass cage, and they'd measured all the parameters, and it had 3 hours to live with the air that would be in that cage. So at the end of 2 hours, they took the bird out of the cage, knowing there was an hour of good air left in there, and put a brand new bird underneath the cage, and it died in about 3 minutes from lack of oxygen. But the other bird had lived 3 hours on further experiments and before it. Why wouldn't this new bird, who's really vital and up, not be able to live at a high rate of health? Because it couldn't adapt to a crappy environment. This other bird polluted its own environment and was breathing its own pollution, and the body was adapting itself downhill. It was adapting, and pretty soon the bird would die at the end of the usability of what oxygen is in there. Start smoking a cigarette. First one you take, you get real sick, your body goes, "Don't do that!" And you think, well, I'll keep at it and the body will adapt. It will. Then after it adapts and you go to change back, you get sick again because it says, "Don't do that, you're smoking." So you get sick when you start, you get sick when you quit. But the body adapts and says, "We need that, I desire that, I gotta have it." And you will start doing all sorts of crazy things in order to have a cigarette. Walk around the street going, where's my cigarettes? Then you become a bum. Can I borrow a cigarette? One cigarette reduces you down to a bum. One person said, "Well, I just smoke OPs." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Other people's." And I said, "Yeah, that's still begging." Carry over. Well, I turn the page and it goes in my mind. The body will adapt. Keep that in mind. And then the body adopts. Adaptation and adoption are so close that we're in the adoption before we forget that we've adapted. And then when we try to get out of it, we're trapped. And we then have bad habits called I eat too much, or we run this rationalization. Yeah, I was in this health awareness training, and I know that sugar rushes me, but I went out and had the chocolate cake because I like it. So there. Your cells don't care whether you like it or not. It's going to kill you. It doesn't give a good darn about you. First of all, it'll bloat you. First of all, it'll build excess energy fields and let the body expand into it. It'll start having you retain everything that goes into you. Then everything you eat goes to waste. This one here, not elimination. That's bad news. If you could eliminate it, fantastic. Can you? Well, there are some things called GTF that seems to help that. That's bad news that they found it, because now everybody goes out and sweets up and takes their GTF, and that just stops the apparent symptoms. In the meantime, the body sets up a different vibration because it says, "You want this, honey? I'll help you get it. I love you until death do us part." Soon, the way you're going. The bad news is when we're on the way into illness and we're on the way back to health, we're on the way down, we reach a place here called, "That's really sick. I can't get out of bed, it caught me. Why should it catch me? I've been a nice person. I only smoked a few cigarettes every day. I only drank a quart of alcohol every day. I only overate a little bit once in a while. I only ate a bed at night just only twice a week. That shouldn't do it." That junk laid in your system and couldn't get eliminated and went rotten, and then you got rotten inside. Now the rot's turned to rot gut, and you're sick. So you go to a doctor, he says, "You got to get well." So you start back up again, and you cross this place again, and you get just as sick going up as you did going down. But then because you think you're getting worse, you immediately retreat right back down here to that place that felt safe, but that's when you were dying. Now you're dying, and you're retreating to the safe place called, "But it felt better here." Yeah, pretty soon you're not going to feel anything here. Just a little bit further, it's called dirt. It isn't going to be too long. Not too long. Well, what can we do about this? First, you have to understand that none of this takes place real fast. oh, let's say 20, 30,000 years ago, it was even unthinkable that a person would die before they're 500 years old. And at 2,000 years old, they were having a lot of kids running around. These are men and women. Then they started getting caught up in polluted air, bad air. They started getting caught up with dirty water, polluted water. You drink a water clear full of a lot of minerals, they'll start plugging up your system. You get hardening of the arteries, you get all sorts of things. You take distilled water, and it starts leaching back out of the body. What does it do to the calcium in your teeth? It leaches it too. Would you rather go around gumless or dead? Well, there's another choice in between there called you can supplement bone meal, dolomite for your teeth. Don't have enough for your bloodstream so it doesn't plug you up. Whenever the bones of the body go out of line, toes, anything, and you got a lot of minerals in your water, before too long the minerals fill in that place. It's called bone spurs, deformities. And you got to take and pull those things back out straight and massage them and therapyize them. Called you got to keep at it until it goes away. Not when you think it goes away. You keep at it till it goes away. Now, how long did it take to get there? 10 years. Is it going to take 10 years to go away? If you keep drinking the same water the same way, yes. If you change, I don't know. It's on its own time. It's on your ability to continue with it. If you don't continue with it, there's difficulty. If you do continue with it, each day there's going to be more freedom, more mobility. Now, that's interesting. You get bad air and you get bad water, you die. You get bad air and you get bad water and you get bad food, you stink when you die. What happens if you just get bad food? You either throw it up or you have diarrhea. Have you ever noticed that? Some people die of food poisoning. They were already so poisoned in there, all it took was a little bit and that ended it. They took a cat and they had taken some nicotine from the cat and they diluted it in water and they put a little bit on the cat's tongue and the cat went into convulsions. Convulsions. They said, gee, that's really terrible. I wonder what happened if we gave that much straight to a cat. So they took a little cat that was like its brother or sister from the same litter, and they opened its little mouth, put some on its tongue, and the cat dropped over dead. In the diluted form, you can take it. But in the concentrated form, it'll kill you. Interesting thing. Now listen carefully. The healthier your body is, when the illness hits and you get it, the more devastating it will be to you. If you've led a sickly life, you can work in leper colonies because leprosy won't even hang on you. There's not enough energy there to feed it. So what we do is we go and get immunizations, inoculations, and everything to immunize us against these things, build up the immunization system. No, you don't. You destroy the immunization system, so when you get the disease, you don't know it. It just goes in and out. You had a slight fever, slight headache, and you're immunized against it. It's the biggest bunch of baloney that they put on us. When we have a vital body, the etheric bottle is vital, and it's full of vitality, and it's really up and full. You can walk in the midst of snakes and they bite you and they fall over dead. Because you're too alive for them. Because of the way their system is built. A smart snake, when it sees you coming, is going to get out of there. It will get out of your way. And it will warn you, I'm getting out of the way. Slow down till I get out of the way. Not humans. We go over and say, what's that noise? Whack. Jeez, why'd that snake bite me? Because you got in the way. There's one fellow that's been bitten by snakes so many times in a serpentine place down in Florida that when he gets bit by snakes with live venom, he goes, oh boy, and walks around. If that thing even spits close to us, we die of poisoning if it even gets close. because those things are so potent. Now they're using it to cure arthritis. Sure, poisons are used by our medical society today to heal illnesses. Didn't you know that? A few people don't know that you have been reading medical journals. Makes your hair fall out, makes your eyes go bad, makes your body go screwy, and it kills cells in the body just left and right. Does it kill them? Those are already gone. They've changed. They've changed. They've changed it to a new frequency, and they just vibrate to another level. What happens? Do they vibrate out there in space? Yeah, they do. Well, I don't know why I should have got this disease. I didn't touch that person. I was clear across the room from them. How come I got sick? How come I got the same? Have you ever heard of an epidemic? You ever heard the Black Plague? How'd that thing happen? A rat bit him. A rat can't go around biting thousands and thousands of people. Maybe some of those people were biting each other. Doesn't work that way, folks. It gets in the essence. When it gets in the essence, we get it, unless our vitality is so high. Now they give shots, they want you to have your immunological system real high. So they immunize you to make your immunization strong. That's wrong. That's just not true. They destroy what you got. When the disease comes through, it can't hang on. It goes. Just listen a little bit. It doesn't take much thinking to go through this. Just because you got an MD or a PhD or a DC or an OD or whatever what is behind or in front of your name doesn't make you smart. All it says is you read these books and passed the exam when they said so. Then to prove it, they send you out to set up a practice, not a profession. You got to go out there and practice on people until you learn what it was in the book. I told my doctor, I said, "Are you still practicing?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "I don't want you. Do you know somebody that's not practicing anymore?" He says, "What's your symptoms?" I told him, and he says, "I'm not practicing on those anymore. I know how to deal with that." And I said, "You're my man. Get one that knows how to deal with that." I asked him, "How do you know that?" He says, "I've specialized in it." I said, "A lot of people die from that?" He says, "An awful lot." And I said, "How many lived?" He says, "In the last 4 or 5 years, everybody." I said, "Fine, those are good odds." If he's saying some are still dying, I'd say, "Wait just a minute. Do you know somebody that's not letting them die with them? That's living?" Building up the defense system has its good news and its bad news. When I used to really be into health in a great way, boy, I was just, these things I'm telling you, I had just right down the line with them, just right down the line. People couldn't amaze. I was a radical fanatic like you couldn't believe. Then I went down to Mexico and ate their food and got sicker than anybody else in the country. Because I was so healthy, when it hit me, it hit me. And I went and talked to the doctor. I said, "What happened?" He says, "You're too healthy." I thought, I wasn't healthy enough. No, I wasn't smart enough. If I was smart enough, I'd have stayed out of there. But I couldn't. I had to go. That was my work. So I said, "Gee, what I'm doing here is setting myself up for illness every time I leave my house." So I started adapting my body by eating some junk food here, some junk food there, drinking some junky water here, Coke over here, you know, smelling some smoke over here on the plane. That's my share. I got to get acclimatized, because when I go, I can't be on my bed saying, "I'm so real spiritual and I'd like to help you." And they say, "Get up in your bed and walk." I couldn't. I'm sick. People say, "You don't look well." I say, "Based on what I've been going through, I look real good." If you went through it, you'd be looking dead or very natural. It's still dead. Do people have any idea what's in tobacco? Do you have the foggiest idea? I'm not on your case. Oh, yeah, God, this is amazing. Here's some of the things that they found in a chemical analysis of tobacco. Now, I'm going to pronounce these wrong, so you just correct them. Nicotine, carbon monoxide, nicotinamide, Nictinine, carbon dioxide, ammonia, methane, methylamine, methylamine, hydrogen sulfide, fururol, F-U-R-R-A-L, pyrrole, P-Y-R-R-O-L-E, pyridine, picoline, lutadine, collodidine, formaldehyde, carbolic acid, prussic acid, and arsenic. That's why I don't want people smoking around me, folks. It gets in the air. And a host of tarry substances. A person who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day in 10 years inhales 8 quarts of carcinogenic tar substances into his lungs that are sufficient to produce cancer, if not kill you. Non-smokers do not escape. As the inhaled tar substances enter the lungs, the first damage is done to the delicate air cells and their lining membrane. But there's one that's just prior to that. It's called the nose and the sinuses, wherein telepathic and spiritual communication sits. Non-smokers do not escape. They inhale tobacco smoke with every breath, almost everywhere in the nation. Every public building, bus, and trains are filled today with tobacco smoke, including most of the hospitals. And with every breath one takes, cancer-causing tars into the body. Due to the prevalence of smoking, although tobacco tar enters our bodies in tremendous volume, yet almost the entire population of the world is kept in ignorance by tobacco manufacturers regarding the dangerous nature of the tar. Tough luck, folks. Black and white, see? No, see? Black and white, yellow. Tobacco poison strikes first at the brain, causing mental confusion, giddiness, faulty memory, high defense mechanisms, rationalizations, and general deterioration of intellectual faculties. Now, there are all these terrible things in the air, and I attempt to leave people with a little hope. Just a little bit. Not much, because nobody gets too much hope in this world. So, let's see, we finished the trees, the dirty picture we didn't get to, that's okay. You probably got lots of questions in there. You're probably wondering about, well, how about health food? I eat a lot of health food. The allot's what's killing you, not the health food. It's quite true that we've been taught to eat to fulfill all sorts of patterns in our body. Love, desire, passion, what have you. And the body's grown accustomed to have its activity go on. Digestion, peristaltic movement of the bowels, etc., etc. And when the body is not in that state of motion and goes to a quiet state, we feel an ache in the stomach. We feel discomfort. And we immediately rush back to our comfort zone and let it run our life, called, you're being run by peristaltic movement of the bowels. So don't get them in an uproar. So we eat to keep them busy, to keep them quiet, just enough. But then I have to eat to keep my energy up. Is that really true? Anybody here not eat? How many of you people here eat find at times your energy goes down? Well, but see, that can't be, because eating keeps your energy up. So something's happening in there. As a matter of fact, and probably you can verify this, because I know you do a lot of running. When you've gone out and exercised and your body's clear full of energy and vitality, don't you find you're not as hungry? Oh, isn't that amazing? You exercise to get an appetite and it cuts it down. You don't get as fat as you want to be. Well, I suppose a person wants to be that way or they wouldn't be that way. Well, isn't that so? When you eat something on the plate, don't you want to eat that, or has somebody got a gun at your head? Of course you want to eat that. And you do eat that. And when the things happen that you don't like, don't worry about the gun. Your stomach will blow you. If we could harbor the gas that's in the human body, we'd have enough to run the nation. for centuries. For centuries. Now, all of us know that enzymes are great conductors of electromagnetic energy, which is what goes through the body and stimulates the cells and make things work. It's not the food or the nutrition in the food. It's how it energizes the cell level and how it cleans the blood and how it brings air into the body that brings life, vitality, and go-get-'em type of thing. And when that's not present, then we get sluggish, lethargic, and we start dying. Literally, we start dying. Remember when I said the minerals are the conductors? Electromagnetic, the minerals, the nutrients. What this is setting up, from the appearances of it, is setting up a way for vibration energy of good health to get into your body, into the cell levels. You live and die at the cell level. You live and die at the cell level. Once again, cells don't die. They change their frequency and move to essence. There's no way that you can take any part of the body through any pathologist, any doctor, any chemist, and have them tell you why a cell does what it does and where does it get its essence from to do what it does. It is a duplicate of the cosmos, the cell. It is a duplicate. You have access to cosmic awareness within you. The Bible said, kingdom of heaven is within. Today we're starting to find out the great intricacies of what the statement means. We know that cells are based up of waves and waveforms and frequencies. And we know that as you go up the scale from anything, that as in the beginning, so in the end, the frequency continues on. Years ago, people say, oh, there's bad vibes or good vibes, and people go, oh, yeah, sure, fine. Wait till an earthquake hits and you get a bad vibe, and you go, I know what's a bad vibe. Well, it's not bad for the earthquake. It's bad for you. And a lot of people want to talk about how the energy is good or bad. What they ought to do is look inside of themselves and see how the energy is inside of them. Because the energy out here is energy out here, available equally to all of us, but many of us will use it better because we'll take in more. We'll expand the lungs. The higher we go up in the air, 8,000 to 9,000 feet, the more we have to use the lungs. As a matter of fact, we get up there and we go through illnesses and people say, quick, get down to sea level and get better. Stupid. Stay there and detox yourself through the natural process of air. Two of the most greatest healing mechanisms on this planet today are fasting and breathing. Two of them. And you know what a lot of people say? Don't do that, you'll die. Well, you're going to die anyway. This way you die healthy. The other way you die sick until you wished you were dead. And you don't die yet then because your body adapts to the state of illness. And you can stay in a state of illness for a long time until you go to somebody who disrupts the pattern of illness. If they disrupt it real fast, you're going to get well real fast. But you're not going to go back to them because they made you worse. But if you did, you get better faster. So they bring you in and they disrupt you just a little, and you're a little this, but you're feeling a little better and a little better. So you slowly climb up because you're cowards. And because you don't know that true healing has got in it a healing crisis. It's got in there someplace a healing crisis. When it happens, it probably might go 24 hours and it could go a little longer. But that's the day you say, thank God I'm on my way to recovery. Up to that point, you can slip back down again. If you were as diligent in taking care of the body that you have here as you were polluting it, the centers of the brain here, the sinus cavities, which are receptive radio terminals and telepathic antennas. It's the 5 golden bowl chamber of ancient science. They're open. Telepathic communication takes on. People that are telepathic, they'll grab a piece of paper like this and they hold it above the sinuses and read it. Are they reading it through their skin? That would be dermal optical perception, DOP. No, they're reading it through attunement. Attunement not as a statement of wishful thinking, but attunement is a process of doing that. Taking a radio and tuning the station in till you get it clear. Not as, oh, there's the dial and it'll tune it in so I don't have to tune it because the dial's there. It'll be staticky. Then I'll tune it. Then you get a clear channel. When you get the clear channel, you can receive on it. There's a higher force inside of you that if you can receive clear, then you learn to send. There are different locations. One is the receiving, and the other one is the sending. This whole area through here, the eyes, the sinuses, the receiving. Guess what if they're all polluted with mucus and junk? No matter how you tune them, you get static. It's called, I ain't got, come on. I ain't got all sorts of bacteria in my nose. God, you got bacteria all over, you're a walking bacteria factory. What do you care? And that's a fallacy to blame it on something like a bacteria when the whole thing is involved with you getting yourself clean, and the bacteria can't stay there unless they're friendly to you. I don't know why they sold us the way they sold us health. But it's quite obvious that it's not producing for us wellness. So we have a sense of well-being. Something's getting in our system called metals out of the air and leads out of the food and disturbances that float through, and your own negative thinking and emotional flooding and poor posture and body habits, then you wonder why you've been having this illness progressively get worse, because the body is slowly adapting you into a grave situation. And your headstone will write, here lies John Doe, I tried. And somebody will write below it, very trying. You never made it. Is this a statement for longevity? It's a statement for wellness as long as you're alive. That's what it's a statement for. So what are we expecting to see from people? Yeah, drinking more water that is good water to keep the system flushed. Watch you don't flood your emotional body with hormones from the glandular system. Watch your thinking, that you create the system of self-talking that talks you into greater vitality and health. Keeping the images in your mind that you want more of, not what you're settling for less of. Eliminate the waste of negativity from your body and watch what happens. Man is the only creature on the planet that is burdened economically. Isn't that amazing? The only one. We're the smart, dominant ones, and we have economic sickness because we're taught to desire and want until we can't stand it. And we're taught the pleasure principle of having those things that do not create pleasure principle. All they do is temporarily stop you and distract you so you're not aware of what's going on inside of you, and you progressively slide down the hill to immortality. It'd be much nicer to climb the hill to mortality and then jump into immortality as the next step. Now people are dying wondering, what's the next step? Wouldn't it be nice to live a life of wellness, open up the centers of the body that are tuned to that is our spirit, live in that spirit, walk in our body, live in this world with others, sharing and learning and teaching and growing, and know that there is a cosmic energy called the greater soul, or God, or your term, that is infinitely in charge and in touch with us. And there's too much proof of that to even debate it. Call it automatic reflex if you want to, but when you sleep, it goes right on. I don't care if you put the name on it, it doesn't matter. It that it is goes right on doing it that it does. Doesn't matter what you carry. You try to kill yourself, you choke yourself, you pass out, and it starts breathing again. If you go choke yourself, sometimes it'll break the rope because you're too heavy and you couldn't do that way either. And when it's time to go, there's no way you can stop it. It goes. Then it's declared not fair because we run stupid in our life, calling that intelligence. Might it be time that if we label things correctly, we can deal with them more accurately? If we can deal with them more accurately, we can live more precisely. If we live more precisely, we can walk the straight and narrow without any effort, without any disturbance, without being caught up in pleasures and desires that pull us apart, that make us go into debt until we feel economic bondage. Sobering, isn't it? And yet in it, there's a humor. It's a real humor about it. Somebody said, what is it? I said, you might as well laugh. That's the way it's going. They said, well, what's so funny about it? I said, well, if you're serious and you die, you're serious and you die. And if you laugh and you die, at least you had a lot of fun along the way. Some people say, well, I'm not here to have fun. I said, don't you have fun, I'll have yours. I have my fun, I'll have your fun. You have my seriousness, my illness, my diseases. That's a straight across bargain. They say, no, I don't want to do that. I really do want to, but and the limitations of their own beingness and their bad habits pollute them once again. And we come into a group like this and we say, let's take the challenge. By God, let's just take the challenge. I'm not going to let it run me. I'm going to start taking back my life from automatic responses a little at a time, because we all know we tried it a big one and we didn't, and we've tried it 100 times and we didn't. But did you ever do it a cinch by the inch? Take these things and knock them down to inches and measure them out, and then go for it. Am I a health expert? No. I'm one of the people on the street. I even step in dog do if I don't watch what I'm doing. But I gotta watch what I'm doing. And I don't get that any of you in this room are exempt either. I know that where I look, I go. What I look at, I focus upon. If you put a chocolate cream cake in front of me, I'll eat the son of a gun. And then run 44 times around the block to make sure that it doesn't screw me up. But it already did, because it already satisfied the desire, principle, and corrupted me. So now, I pushed him back. I remember, boy, every night I had to have dessert or it wasn't night. And there was no reason to go to bed if it wasn't night. I had it fixed. And then I started pushing it away a little at a time. And I remember when I used to have that drink before I could go to bed so I could rest. I remember pushing that away, saying, wait a minute, maybe I can rest without that. I might be able to. Found out one day I took a drink one night and the damn thing kept me wired. I was awake all night long, liver problems, blood running through me, ate some sugar and flip-flopped through sugar things. I woke up next morning totally exhausted from two of the things I like most, red wine and chocolate cake. Together. Some part of me says, look, bimbo, you don't need that. If you want exercise, go run. You don't have to flop around in bed till you're too exhausted. And I said, that's quite true. And I didn't want to run, so I just stopped doing these things that made me flop around in bed. I don't like to run. I like to fast walk. I don't want to run. Let those people that are running run. I'll walk fast. I'll breathe deeply. I'll get my essence from the air. You run. Is that anything bad about running? No, no. I ran when I was younger. Now I'm older. I know better. They'll say, but that'll get rid of your stomach. I don't want to get rid of my stomach. I like it. They said, well, I don't mean that. I mean it won't be as big as usual. I like it like this. If I didn't like it like this, I would get rid of it. You don't like it like this. Tough bananas. I'm storing up for the winter. What's your excuse? You're storing up for the great famine that everybody's predicting is coming on the land? Good luck, because you're going to need it. Good luck. We better learn how to live on a lot less and do with a lot less, because you're going to have to. But you can have more happiness without the bills, more happiness without the responsibility of upkeep of all the junk you get, and you get to share the loving and who you are. There's nothing more rewarding than that. Nothing more rewarding. Unless it's, of course, a good piece of chocolate cake. Very spécial.